That's right. A simple 1993 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, the kind you've probably seen 100 times, quietly shattered expectations at a private auction, selling for a jaw-dropping $1.1 million. But this isn't just about luck. This is about a hidden treasure that could be hiding in your pocket right now, waiting to change your life. You see, not all pennies are created equal. And the 1993 no mint mark Lincoln cent has a secret, a minting mistake so subtle, so easy to overlook, that even experienced collectors miss it. But those who know what to look for, they've turned pocket change into life-changing fortune. The story begins in the early 90s. The US Mint was under intense pressure, pushing out billions of coins to meet the booming economy's demands. Somewhere in that chaos, a small batch of Lincoln cents was struck without the Philadelphia Mint mark. But that's not what makes them special. These pennies were struck on experimental planchets, slightly different metal compositions, leaving them with a distinct weight and luster that doesn't quite match the regular copper-plated zinc pennies. One collector described the moment they discovered it. They said, "It just felt different. Heavier. The color had this soft, almost golden glow. At first I thought it was just dirty. But when they weighed it, that's when the mystery began to unravel. This seemingly ordinary penny was tested, authenticated, and confirmed as one of the few known 1993 transitional error cents, struck on a leftover planchet from a previous year's composition batch. The value? An estimated $1.1 million. Collectors were shocked. Dealers were scrambling. How could a coin from 1993, a year flooded with pennies, suddenly be worth more than a luxury mansion? It's because of rarity. You see, in coin collecting, it's not about age alone. It's about mistakes, flaws, variations that slip through the mint's strict quality checks. These anomalies create a perfect storm, a coin that's rare, beautiful, and nearly impossible to replicate. And here's the kicker: most people who own this coin have no idea. Imagine that. $1 million penny tossed in a change jar. Passed over at a yard sale. Sitting silently in a collection box, unnoticed for decades. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and yours could be next. There's a microscopic doubling on some of these 1993 no mint mark pennies, especially around Lincoln's year and the date. It's so faint you'd miss it without a magnifier. But if it's there, congratulations, you might be holding a doubling error specimen, which is considered a holy grail among error collectors. Standard 1993 Lincoln pennies weigh about 2.5 grams. But these rare error coins? They can weigh slightly more, around 3.1 grams. It's a tiny difference, but to collectors, it's everything. It's the fingerprint of $1 million coin. But this isn't just a collector's fantasy. It's real. Documented. And the stories keep coming in. One woman found hers while rolling pennies for the bank. Another man discovered his in a handful of coins from a vending machine refund. These aren't myths. They're life-changing moments happening to ordinary people. How many of these $1 million pennies are still out there, hidden in plain sight, because experts believe more exist? Undiscovered. Overlooked. And the next one could be yours. But what should you look for? Here's the exact checklist to follow. Second, flip the penny and look for a missing mint mark under the date. No. D. No. S. Just a blank space. Next, under a magnifier, inspect Lincoln's year and the number. 3. In the date for signs of light doubling, a ghost-like shadow effect that indicates a double die error. Finally, the weight test. Use a precise scale. If your penny tips above 2.5 grams, even slightly, you might be holding a rare planchet error. This is the moment to get it authenticated by a professional grading service. But don't make the mistake so many do. Don't clean the coin. Don't polish it. Condition matters. Even the smallest scratch could reduce its value dramatically. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins because the demand is skyrocketing. The rarity, the mystery, the $1 million potential, it's irresistible. And yet, so many people will never know. They'll pass over this penny, thinking it's just another coin. The next 1993 no mint mark Lincoln penny worth over $1 million could be sitting in your drawer right now. It looked like any ordinary Lincoln cent, brownish red, a little scratched, just sitting quietly in someone's pocket change. But hidden within that small coin was a secret, a minting mistake so rare, so elusive, that even veteran collectors had never seen one in person. And when this penny finally surfaced, the entire coin world was left speechless. The answer lies in a tiny, nearly invisible flaw. A flaw born deep within the Denver Mint, where millions of pennies were being stamped out in a rush. Among those millions, a few, just a handful, came out wrong. But not the kind of wrong you'd spot at a glance. These were stealth errors, silent imperfections that hid in plain sight for years. One man, an ordinary collector who had no idea what he was holding, found his life changed forever. He was sorting through a jar of old coins, the kind of jar we all have, filled with loose change forgotten over decades. He almost tossed it aside, until a glint near the D Mint mark caught his eye. Under a magnifying glass, something was off. The edges of the D Mint mark didn't align like they should. The relief was sharper, crisper, almost like a ghostly double image. This wasn't just wear and tear, it was a rare double die strike, a minting anomaly that shouldn't exist. Collectors call it a misaligned die clash, where the design shifts ever so slightly, creating a layered, almost 3D effect on Lincoln's bust and the date, and when he brought it to a local coin dealer, jaws dropped. The dealer had seen thousands of 1993 pennies, but never one like this. Dealers were rushing to get their hands on this coin. Auction houses knew they were dealing with a once-in-a-lifetime specimen. And when the bidding began, it wasn't a slow crawl. It was an explosion. Within minutes, the price soared past $500,000. But it didn't stop there. By the time the gavel fell, this tiny copper coin had shattered expectations, selling for a staggering $1.20 million. This is where the magic of error coins comes alive. You see, most collectors focus on key dates or pristine conditions. But the real legends, the coins that change lives, are often the freak accidents. The flawed creations that slip through the cracks of the U.S. Mint's strict quality control. And in 1993, with the Denver Mint churning out billions of cents, a few of these misalignments escaped into circulation. You might be holding this penny right now and never know it. But the detail that makes it worth a fortune is so tiny it fools almost everyone. Every so often, a story like this surfaces. A regular person, a simple penny, and an auction hammer that turns a 5-cent discovery into a millionaire moment. The whispers in the coin community grew louder after this 1993 D-penny sale. Collectors began scrambling through old jars, magnifying glasses flew off shelves, and suddenly, a quiet pocket change hunt became a nationwide treasure chase. And yet, most people still don't know the exact detail that transforms this coin into a life-changing find. This isn't about a date error or a missing mint mark. It's about something far more subtle. On these rare 1993 D Lincoln pennies, the doubling effect isn't spread across the entire coin. It's localized, hiding around Lincoln's ear, the tops of the letters in Liberty, and most critically, around the D Mint mark itself. But this is not a blurry, obvious double image. It's sharper, almost like a thin outline or a shadow, hugging the original design. And under certain angles, it looks like the coin is breathing. The design pulses with a ghostly depth. And here's the most mind-blowing part. Many of these era pennies are still out there. They were never pulled from circulation. They weren't destroyed by the mint. They're hiding in piggy banks, old cash registers, and forgotten coin rolls. Which means, you might be one of the lucky few who stumbles across $1 million penny without even realizing it. But what happened after that auction sale? The collector who found it didn't just become a millionaire. His discovery triggered a wave of new interest in Lincoln cents. Suddenly, 1993 D pennies became the hottest hunt in numismatics. Coin forums lit up. Collectors swapped images, tips, and theories. Dealers started offering premium prices for even suspicious-looking specimens. You could have a scratched, slightly worn 1993 D penny, and if it shows this rare misaligned double die, you're holding a ticket to a financial miracle. First, examine the D Mint mark with a 10x magnifier. Look for slight doubling or a ghosted outline, a second impression that doesn't align perfectly. Then, scan Lincoln's ear and the word Liberty. A true error will show faint but distinct doubling in these areas. It won't be dramatic, but that subtle imperfection is worth a fortune. Not every doubled image is valuable. Machine doubling, which is just a flat shelf-like doubling from coin movement, is common and not worth much. What you're searching for is true die doubling, where the design has depth and separation. So, before you spend that penny, before you toss it back into circulation, take a moment. Examine it. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. In 1973, while most people were busy with the Watergate scandal and the first cell phones, the U.S. Mint unknowingly released a tiny number of Lincoln pennies with a secret flaw, a flaw so subtle, even veteran collectors overlooked it for decades. But those who discovered it, their lives changed overnight. One man in Ohio found this exact penny in his pocket change. It had no mint mark. He thought nothing of it. But at a routine coin show, an expert's glance stopped him cold. What followed was a whirlwind: grading labs, auction houses, collectors offering him 5 figures just to take it off his hands quietly. But when the auction hammer finally fell, that little penny, once ignored at the bottom of a change jar, fetched $1.30 million. But what makes this coin so valuable? What tiny detail turns a common Lincoln cent into $1 million miracle? The 1973 no-mint mark Lincoln penny was supposed to be perfectly ordinary. But due to a rare minting anomaly, a few of these coins exhibit a doubled die obverse, a subtle doubling on Lincoln's profile and the date. Under magnification, you can see the shadowed outlines on the word Liberty and the numbers 1-9-7-3. Most people mistake it for wear and tear. But it's not damage, it's a minting flaw. And this flaw is pure gold to collectors. Some of these pennies were struck on bronze planchets with slightly incorrect metal composition, giving them a warmer, richer tone than regular copper coins. The unique color combined with the doubling effect is what skyrockets its value. Dealers were stunned when the first discovery was made public. Suddenly, collectors from coast to coast were emptying their piggy banks, checking every 1973 penny under bright lights, magnifiers, and microscopes. The rush was electric. Because everyone realized, this wasn't some museum piece locked away in a vault. This was pocket change. Hiding. Waiting. A second penny, identical in error, surfaced in an estate sale in Arizona. The owner had no idea. It was tossed into a coffee can of coins, nearly sold for face value. But a sharp-eyed dealer spotted the doubling, and knew instantly, this wasn't just a penny, it was a treasure. That coin went for $850,000 at auction. And experts believe there are still a few more floating in circulation. Imagine going through your old drawers, flipping through a handful of pennies, and realizing one of them is $1 million ticket. It's happened before. It could happen to you. Collectors are still searching. Dealers are on high alert. Because these coins don't announce themselves. They look like every other penny, until you notice that tiny detail most people miss. One retired teacher in Florida found hers in a church donation box. She nearly gave it away, until a fellow volunteer noticed the odd color and saved it from vanishing forever. Another story tells of a teenager who stumbled upon one in a parking lot. That lucky penny became his first college tuition check, selling for $1.1 million after authentication. Most people don't realize that the Philadelphia Mint didn't use mint marks on pennies during that period. So, no mint mark isn't unusual. That's the trap. The real value hides in the error, the doubling, the metal tone, the striking flaws that turn it from pocket change into a collector's dream. But here's a cliffhanger for you. There's a theory among numismatists that a small batch of these error pennies were distributed in Midwest bank rolls, never accounted for. That means hundreds, maybe thousands, could still be sitting unnoticed in old coin jars, desk drawers, or even at the bottom of vending machines. First, look for any 1973 penny with no mint mark. That's your starting point. Next, under a magnifying glass, examine the date and the word Liberty. If you see a shadow effect or faint outlines that look doubled, don't ignore it. That's the telltale sign of a double die obverse. Also, pay attention to the color. These rare pennies often have a deeper, bronze-like hue that's slightly different from the usual copper red. Lighting is key. Tilt the coin slowly and watch for subtle shifts in the surface reflection. Don't confuse damage or wear with a doubling error. Circulation scratches will look random, but true doubling is precise, almost like a shadow perfectly following the letters or numbers. If you think you've found one, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy thousands of dollars in value instantly. Instead, get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Because once certified, your ordinary penny could join the ranks of those sold for 6 or even 7 figures. This exact penny, the 1973 no mint mark Lincoln cent with doubling, could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. So, check your pocket change. Because the next $1 million discovery might not come from a vault or a high-security auction, it could come from you. Subscribe now for more life-changing coin secrets. And who knows, your next handful of change could be the start of a millionaire's story. Imagine that. A coin, smaller than a bottle cap, turning an ordinary man's pocket change into $1 million miracle. And the most shocking part? There are still more of these pennies hiding out there, right now, in drawers, piggy banks, and forgotten coffee cans across America. Today, I'm going to reveal the hidden truth about the 1977 D mint mark Lincoln penny. A coin so deceptively common, yet with a secret so powerful, it has collectors and dealers scrambling to uncover the next one. But stay sharp, this story has twists no one saw coming. It all started in the late 1970s. The Denver Mint was operating at full capacity, churning out millions of Lincoln cents. On the surface, they all looked identical. But somewhere along the production line, a tiny mistake was made. A microscopic flaw that would go unnoticed by almost everyone, except the most eagle-eyed collectors. This flaw, combined with the penny's near-pristine condition, would eventually launch its value into the stratosphere. One collector, a modest man from Colorado, stumbled upon this treasure completely by accident. He found it mixed in with a pile of copper pennies he'd been saving for years. It looked like any other 1977 D penny, until he noticed something off. The mint mark, the small D below the date, seemed slightly doubled. But it wasn't just the mint mark. The Lincoln portrait had an unusual sharpness, and the coin's surface shimmered with a luster that didn't belong on a 40-year-old penny. He sent it for grading. Weeks passed. Then the call came, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At auction, fierce bidding wars erupted. What was expected to sell for a few $1,000s soared past 6 figures, then 7. When the final hammer fell, the crowd erupted. This 1977 D Lincoln penny had just realized a jaw-dropping $1.40 million. It was a perfect storm. A rare die error, immaculate preservation, and a collector's market hungry for the next big discovery. But here's the twist that makes this story even wilder. Experts believe that up to a dozen more of these rare 1977 D-era pennies are still out there, undiscovered, hiding in plain sight. They're mixed in with the billions of ordinary pennies circulating today. And if you know what to look for, you could be the next millionaire. The key is in the details. Look closely at the D mint mark. Is there a faint doubling effect? Not obvious, barely noticeable, like a ghost image. Next, tilt the coin under bright light. The real $1 million specimens have an exceptional deep copper-red luster that seems to glow from within. These are not dull, circulated pennies. These are coins that somehow escaped decades of wear, preserved in nearly flawless condition. But wait, there's another crucial clue. On genuine high-value examples, Lincoln's bust will show razor-sharp details in the beard and hair, sharper than usual. This level of strike definition is rare for 1977 Denver Mint pennies, and that's why collectors go wild when they find one. Dealers are now racing to get their hands on any 1977 D pennies in uncirculated condition. Prices have surged, and the coin world is on high alert. Every time a roll of old pennies is cracked open, there's a chance, a slim but real chance, that $1 million discovery could be made. But here's where things get emotional. For many collectors, this isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of the hunt. The idea that a simple penny, something most people overlook, could hold the key to life-changing wealth. It's the American dream, hiding in your pocket. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. And there's no reason it couldn't happen to you. But what if I told you the majority of people throw this opportunity away? They cash in their jars at coin machines, blind to what could be their golden ticket. The truth is, you need to know exactly what to look for, or you'll miss it entirely. Step 1. Grab a magnifying glass and study the D mint mark. Is there a light doubling effect? Even the faintest shift can signal a rare era coin. Step 2. Inspect Lincoln's profile. The beard, hair, and jacket lines should appear crisp and deeply struck. If it looks sharper than usual, your heart should start racing. Step 3. Examine the coin's luster. $1 million specimens gleam with a coppery brilliance, as if they were just struck yesterday. And finally, be cautious of cleaned or damaged coins. Harsh cleaning scratches or discolorations can kill the value instantly. Authentic $1 million pennies will show their age gracefully, without artificial polishing. Collectors were shocked when the first $1 million 1977 D penny surfaced. Now, with the market's appetite growing, the next one could spark an even greater bidding war. The question is, will it be you who finds it? This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. It sat in an old glass jar, mixed with dusty coins, nearly thrown away during a garage clean-out. But one sharp-eyed collector spotted a tiny, almost invisible detail, and that penny later sold for over $1.5 million. That's right. A simple 1964 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin millions of Americans have touched, turned into a life-changing fortune. And the shocking part? These treasures are still out there. Right now. Hiding in change jars, desk drawers, and pocket change, just waiting for someone to look closely enough. Let's rewind to 1964, a year of rapid change at the U.S. Mint. The nation was gripped by a coin shortage. People were hoarding silver coins, banks were running dry, and the mint was working overtime to meet demand. Mistakes? They were inevitable. But one mistake would become a collector's dream. Some 1964 Lincoln pennies were struck with a unique combination of errors. Subtle, easy to overlook, but once spotted, instantly skyrocketing their value. A double die obverse. Imagine Lincoln's profile, but with faint, ghost-like shadows of his image slightly doubled. It's almost like the coin is echoing itself. Most people miss it. But collectors? They're trained to spot these rare duplications, and when they do, dealers are ready to pay big money. Some 1964 pennies were struck on leftover bronze planchets that were intended for older, discontinued coins. The color, the weight, even the ring of the metal sounds different when tapped. It's a hidden trait that only reveals itself to those who know what to listen for. At a small-town auction, a jar of pennies sold for just a few dollars. But buried in that jar was one of these rare 1964 no mint mark errors. A savvy collector spotted the doubling, verified the planchet weight, and after careful authentication, that penny sold for a jaw-dropping $1.5 million. You see, millions of 1964 pennies were made without a mint mark. But only a tiny fraction carried the specific errors that turned them into treasures. It's a microscopic difference. A slight doubling on the lettering of "In God We Trust." A faint misalignment in Lincoln's portrait. The feel of the coin, slightly heavier, richer in tone due to the bronze. Because of the frantic production pace in 1964, some pennies were struck using worn dies, creating what's known as die deterioration doubling. It looks similar to valuable doubling but isn't worth more than a few cents. And that's where many hopeful collectors make $1 million mistake. The secret lies in the clarity. True double dies will have sharp, crisp doubling, especially visible on the 4 in 1964 and the Liberty inscription. Worn die errors, on the other hand, will appear soft and mushy. But the most shocking discovery? A man in Ohio found such a penny in his childhood coin collection. He had been flipping through old albums, reminiscing, when he noticed the odd doubling. A quick magnifier check, a visit to a local dealer, and soon, he was on a flight to an elite auction house. That penny fetched over $1 million, transforming a nostalgic afternoon into a financial windfall. It starts with a magnifying glass. Look closely at the date, 1964. Is there a clear, distinct doubling on the numbers? Next, inspect. In God We Trust. And Liberty, 4 doubled letters. Feel the weight of the coin. A genuine bronze planchet penny will feel slightly heavier than typical copper-plated zinc pennies. But most importantly, don't be fooled by shelf doubling or worn die tricks. True valuable errors will leap out at you with their sharpness once you know what to see. They think valuable coins only exist in collector shops or locked away in vaults. But stories like these, of pennies turning up in junk drawers and old piggy banks, keep happening. Every week, coin dealers are stunned by walk-ins holding life-changing treasures. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle because he simply took the time to look. The next $1 million penny might not be in a museum. It could be in your house, your car, or sitting quietly at the bottom of a coin jar, waiting for the right eyes. So, get out your magnifier. Start searching. The 1964 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny has already changed lives, and the next one could be yours. It's a simple copper-colored Lincoln cent from 2008. No shiny proof finish. No obvious mint mark. Just an ordinary penny, or so everyone thought. Until one collector spotted a tiny, almost invisible flaw that would shock the entire coin world. You see, most people glance at their pennies and toss them into a jar. But in 2008, a batch of Lincoln cents was accidentally struck with a hidden error so rare, even professional coin dealers missed it at first glance. These were no mint Mark Lincoln pennies. But what made them extraordinary wasn't what was missing, it was what was hidden. A small-time collector found one of these coins while counting spare change at his kitchen table. He nearly spent it at a gas station. But something caught his eye. The edges felt off. The design looked subtly different. He couldn't explain it, but his gut told him, this penny was different. This wasn't just any 2008 penny. It was one of the few that escaped the mint's radar, a coin struck on a transitional planchet, with die alignment errors so subtle, they went unnoticed until auction day. When this seemingly ordinary penny hit the auction block, veteran collectors leaned in. Bidding started low, but whispers filled the room. By the time the auctioneer slammed the gavel, this 2008 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny had skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping $1.60 million. A single penny, that could have vanished into a vending machine, became $1 million miracle. And here's the twist. This isn't an isolated case. There are still more of these 2008 no-mint Mark Lincoln pennies out there. Hiding. Sitting quietly in pocket change, junk drawers, and old coin rolls, waiting for someone who knows what to look for. But what makes this coin worth millions? The secret lies in a combination of 2 fatal errors that the U.S. Mint rarely talks about. First, the coin was struck on a leftover bronze alloy planchet, a metal composition that was supposed to be phased out years earlier. These planchets were never meant to be used in 2008, yet somehow, a few of them slipped through. Second, these pennies bear a misaligned die strike, a microscopic rotation that causes Lincoln's profile to sit ever so slightly askew. It's not enough to catch the average person's eye. But to trained collectors, it's a jackpot signal. They flip the penny over and only look for obvious doubling or major cracks. But this $1 million coin hides its value in the subtlest imperfections, a shifted die axis, a faint clash mark, and an ever so slightly thicker rim on one side. Dealers are now racing to get their hands on these pennies. Why? Because as word spreads, collectors are scouring their spare change, and prices are skyrocketing. The last confirmed sale reached $1.60 million, and experts believe the next one could break records. He was a retired schoolteacher. No formal training in coin collecting. Just a hobbyist with a passion for details. After his $1 million discovery, his life changed overnight. TV interviews, auction house offers, and a stream of collectors begging to see the famous penny. He called it his $1 million miracle. And it all started from a penny he almost spent on a cup of coffee. The US Mint never confirmed the exact number of these 2008 era pennies that escaped into circulation. Some estimates suggest less than 20 exist. Others believe it could be over 100. The truth is, no one knows. And that uncertainty is driving collectors wild. On the obverse, Lincoln's bust has a faint doubling around the chin and lips. It's not the dramatic doubling you see in common errors. It's subtle, almost like a shadow. But under a jeweler's loupe, it becomes a beacon. A sign that you're holding one of the rarest pennies ever made. Flip it over, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse will show slight weakness in the columns, a result of the misaligned die clash. Again, barely noticeable to the naked eye, but unmistakable once you know where to look. Collectors were shocked when the first ones surfaced. Dealers scrambled to verify its authenticity. Auction houses battled for the rights to sell it. And now, with each passing year, the hunt intensifies. Every roll of pennies could be hiding a life-changing treasure. As more of these rare pennies are found and locked away in private collections, their availability shrinks, and their value climbs. Today, it's $1.6 million. Tomorrow? It could be double. Start with a jeweler's loupe. Magnification is key. Examine the obverse closely for micro-doubling around Lincoln's jawline and chin. Feel the edges. Authentic era coins will have an uneven rim thickness. Then, check the reverse for faint die clash marks on the columns of the Lincoln Memorial. Avoid the common mistake of looking only for bold, dramatic errors. This coin's value lies in its subtleties. The kind of details only the sharpest eyes catch. You're not just holding a penny. You're holding a piece of numismatic history. A coin that could turn pocket change into $1 million legacy. A plain, brown Lincoln penny, no mint mark, quietly sitting in someone's junk drawer for decades, ended up making headlines worldwide. There are still hundreds of these out there. One of them could be in your pocket right now. But before you rush to check, there's a hidden story behind this coin that most collectors never hear. It starts back in 1981, a year before the US Mint made a monumental change. The penny you know today, mostly zinc with a thin copper coating, didn't exist in 1981. The Mint was still producing solid copper pennies, but something unusual happened. Among the millions of ordinary coins, a few were struck with microscopic flaws, errors so small the naked eye would never notice at first glance, but to a trained collector, these imperfections transformed a common cent into $1 million treasure. One particular coin shocked the numismatic world. A 1981 no mint mark Lincoln penny, found in pocket change, sent for authentication, and later sold at auction for $1.70 million, because of a nearly invisible doubling on Lincoln's face and lettering. Collectors call it a double-dyed verse. And in 1981, it's beyond rare. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. At first, even expert graders thought it was a mistake. After all, doubling is common in coins from the 50s and 60s, but not in 1981. Yet under magnification, there it was, the jawline, the date, the word, Liberty, all showing clear, crisp doubling. The discovery ignited a frenzy. Dealers were scrambling, collectors were searching every old penny roll they had stashed away. And then came the wild auction where this humble penny shattered all expectations. It sold for a staggering $1.7 million. Imagine that. One moment it's pocket change, the next, it's life-changing. But here's the twist most people don't realize. There are still unconfirmed specimens out there. Pennies minted in 1981, no mint mark, hiding that same doubling flaw. And if you're not paying close attention, you'll miss it. But this next detail is why it's worth millions, and most people overlook it. You see, 1981 was the last full year before the mint switched to copper-plated zinc in 1982. They're the final solid copper cents, with a major minting flaw, making them a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly. Collectors are hunting for them like treasure maps. Most people think mint errors are obvious: huge cracks, off-center strikes, visible defects. A coin that looks normal, ordinary, until you tilt it under light. Then suddenly, the doubling reveals itself like a secret code, and if you're the one who finds it, your life could change overnight. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. They sit quietly, waiting for a sharp eye to notice the slight doubling on Lincoln's profile, or the way the 1981 date subtly splits when viewed under magnification. Countless pennies have slipped through fingers, dumped into Coinstar machines, spent on coffee, while their true value was never recognized. This penny isn't just old, it's a symbol of hidden opportunity. First, check for the absence of a mint mark just below the date. It should be completely blank, no D or S. Next, you'll need a jeweler's loupe or a microscope. Look carefully at the word Liberty and Lincoln's jawline. Not a blur, but sharp, clear edges where the letters seem to have a shadowy twin. If so, you may be holding an undiscovered treasure. But here's the catch that trips up most people. Many machine-damaged coins can fake a doubling effect. You must ensure it's a true double die obverse, where the doubling happened during the die creation, not from circulation, where A certified grading service can confirm if you've found the real deal. You're holding a piece of American minting history, worth up to $1.7 million. Imagine the look on your face when you realize that ordinary coin could change your life. Collectors are still hunting, but they're not looking in the right places. Your drawer, your change jar, that old coffee can in the garage, these could be hiding a fortune. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Imagine sifting through your loose change, thinking it's just another ordinary day, when suddenly, you spot a penny. A 1987 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Nothing unusual, right? But this seemingly common coin hides a secret so rare, so valuable, that it sent shockwaves through the entire coin collecting world. One man, just an everyday guy from Ohio, found his $1 million miracle while cashing in coins at a supermarket machine. He almost didn't notice. But a tiny glimmer, a barely there detail, made him pause. That pause changed his life forever. But what was so special about this penny? What turned a single cent into a life-changing fortune? Let's rewind to 1987. The U.S. Mint produced billions of Lincoln pennies that year. Most of them? Completely ordinary. But in the chaos of high-speed production, a handful of these pennies slipped through with a minting error so rare, so elusive, that it created one of the most valuable coin mistakes in modern history. These rare 1987 pennies lack a mint mark, but not in the way you'd expect. You see, Philadelphia minted coins traditionally have no mint mark. That's not unusual. But in 1987, a rare die error occurred where the coin was struck with an ultra-rare, wide AM, reverse design, something that should have been retired years earlier. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The very first verified sale of a flawless 1987 no-mint mark penny with this hidden error exploded at auction, closing at just over $1.2 million. And the ripple effect was immediate. Everyone from casual hobbyists to veteran numismatists started scrutinizing their pocket change, desperate to find the next one. But here's the catch. This treasure isn't easy to spot. Most people look right past it. The difference is subtle, almost invisible to an untrained eye. But it's there. And that tiny detail could mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth nearly $2 million. Now imagine this. You're going through an old coin jar at your grandmother's house. The pennies clink together, decades of forgotten change. But somewhere in that pile could be a 1987 no-mint mark penny with this elusive error. A coin that could pay off your mortgage. A coin that could rewrite your financial future. But wait, before you dive into your change jar, you need to know exactly what to look for. Because most people miss this. First, flip the penny to its reverse side. Look at the spacing between the A and M in America. On ordinary pennies, these two letters are practically touching. But on the $1 million error coin, there's a clear, noticeable gap, a wide AM. This design shouldn't exist on 1987 pennies. Yet, somehow, a tiny batch was accidentally struck with it. Collectors call it the wide AM phantom. And the nickname is fitting, because finding one feels like chasing a ghost. Another detail that separates the treasure from the trash is the designer's initials on the reverse, FG, for Frank Gasparo. On these rare error pennies, the initials are often shifted or faint, Another sign of the rogue die that created these million-dollar mistakes. Dealers are now offering bounties. Find one in pristine condition, what experts call MS68 red, and you're looking at a payday upwards of $1.8 million. Even coins with minor circulation marks can fetch life-changing amounts. One woman, a retired schoolteacher, found hers in a dusty coffee can in the back of her attic. She was simply looking for old buttons. That coffee can ended up changing her life. She sold her 1987 wide AM penny for $1.4 million. Her story went viral, and overnight she became the symbol of ordinary people striking gold. But the clock is ticking. These era coins are vanishing into private collections. Each year, the chance of finding one in the wild gets slimmer. But they're still out there. Hiding. Waiting. Maybe in your home. Maybe in your wallet. Maybe in that jar you've been meaning to cash in. And here's a secret most collectors won't tell you: the majority of these rare 1987 pennies were never in circulation. They were freshly minted, slipped into circulation bags by mistake, and forgotten. That's why so many are still in gem condition. But what if I told you the most valuable specimen ever found was pulled straight from a parking lot? Scuffed, dirty, and worn, but that wide AM gap was undeniable. It still sold for over $400,000. So don't assume condition is everything. Rarity trumps perfection. Now, before you grab a magnifying glass, let's recap the exact steps you need to find this million-dollar penny. Flip the coin and inspect the word America. Focus on the spacing between the A and M. If there's a clear gap, it's time to get excited. Lastly, examine the FG initials to see if they look faint or shifted. If your penny checks all these boxes, you might be holding a million-dollar treasure. But here's the final truth: this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, blending in with the rest, quietly waiting for someone to recognize its worth. And that someone could be you.